The forgotten cage, the old space station, was quiet. It floated in the dark corner of the galaxy where no one came anymore. The metal walls were broken in many places. Dust and silence ruled the place. For hundreds of years, no life had moved here, but today someone had arrived. Commander Jax, a human soldier, walked slowly through the broken halls. His boots made soft sounds on the floor. His helmet light showed only dust and shadows. He was on a secret mission. His orders were simple: search, scan, and leave. But he felt something strange here, like the place was watching him. He checked his scanner. No life detected, it said. Still, he felt nervous. JX moved deeper into the station. Strange alien. Symbols were carved on the walls. He didn't understand them, but they looked old and dangerous. He opened the heavy door, and cold air touched his face. Inside, the room was large and round. And in the middle, he saw it. A glass cage. It was tall and shining. Clean, almost too clean for a place like this. Lights ran through the floor beneath it, glowing blue. Inside the cage, someone was sitting. It was a girl. She had long silver hair and glowing blue eyes. Her skin was pale, almost white. She sat still, her hands resting on her knees, her eyes closed. She looked peaceful and sad. Jax stepped closer. His scanner beeped loud. Warning. Dangerous entity detected. Do not engage. He stopped. What are you? He whispered. The girl opened her eyes slowly. She didn't move. She just looked at him. Her eyes didn't show fear. They showed something else, like she had seen 1,000 years pass in silence. Jax pressed a button on his wrist. Control, I found something. It's alive, female, in a sealed cage. Scanner says she's dangerous. There was no reply. Static only. Suddenly, the room lights flickered. The walls made a soft humming noise. The cage began to glow brighter. Something had changed. Jax looked around, ready to fight, but nothing moved. The girl stood up slowly. She touched the glass from the inside. Her lips moved, but no sound came. She pointed at him. Then at the control panel beside the cage. Then back at herself. You want me to free you? Jax asked. She nodded once. But why are you here? Who put you in this? She looked down. Then she raised her hand and drew a symbol in the air, an old sign. Jax had seen it once, long ago in a history file. It was the mark of the Galactic Union, the biggest, most powerful empire in the galaxy. Did they lock you here? He asked. She gave a small nod. But why? The girl didn't answer. She just stared at him. There was pain in her eyes, but also something else. Hope. Jax looked at the control panel. It had no buttons, just old alien. Tech? He touched it. Lights blinked. Then a voice spoke from the wall. Prison status active. Class X threat detained. Do not open without High Council clearance. Class X, that was the highest level of danger. Jax stepped back. His heart beat faster. You're a Class X threat? He said. She looked at him again. This time she shook her head slowly. A tear rolled down her cheek. I don't believe you're a threat, Jax whispered. I think they were afraid of you. He looked behind him. The hallway lights were turning red. Something was coming. He had no time left. Jax pulled out his laser cutter. I don't know who you are, he said. But I can't leave you here. He cut through the glass. Sparks flew. The alarm started. A loud voice filled the room. Warning! Containment breach. The cage cracked open. The girl stepped out. She didn't run. She didn't speak. She just stood in front of Jax. Behind them, the door burst open. Shadows moved. Loud metal footsteps came closer. Jax turned to the girl. Can you run? She nodded. Then let's go. They ran into the dark hallway together, the alarm screaming behind them. The girl with no name. The cold metal floor echoed with every step. Red lights flashed across the hallway. Sirens screamed behind them, but the girl didn't look back. She ran beside Jax like she already knew the way. Jax's heart pounded in his chest. He had escaped many battles before, but this was different. He wasn't running from enemies. He was running with something. No, someone the galaxy had forgotten. She had no name, no voice. No past that she would speak of, yet she moved like she had lived for centuries. They reached Jax's small scout ship, hidden inside a broken dock. Jocks opened the ramp and waved her in. Go. Hurry? She paused at the door. Her glowing eyes looked at the stars for a moment like she was seeing them again after a very long time. Then she stepped in. The ramp closed. Jocks ran to the pilot seat and started the engines. The ship shook. Behind them, the station lit up. Defense turrets activated. They don't want her free, Jocks whispered. The girl stood behind him, calm, watching the stars through the window. The ship broke away just as laser blasts flew past. Jocks pulled the controls and jumped into hyperspace. Silence returned. No alarms. No chasing ships, just the soft hum of space. He turned to her. You okay? She sat down on the floor, cross-legged, and looked at him. Still no words. Jocks brought a small scanner to her. Let me check your vitals. Maybe I can find out what species. You are. He scanned her arm. The scanner blinked once, then twice. Then stopped. Species, unknown, no records found. Age, est 250 years. Status, stable. Jax stared at the screen. 250 years? You were really in that cage for that long? The girl nodded slowly. He sat across from her. Ken, you understand me? She nodded again. But you don't speak? She hesitated, then pointed to her throat. She touched it gently and shook her head. Can't speak. Or not allowed to? Jocks asked. She looked away. Sighed. All right. We'll do this the hard way. Do you have a name? She didn't answer. I'll call you. He looked at her glowing eyes, calm and deep like the ocean. Nova, until you tell me something else. Her eyes met his. She blinked once. Nova it is. Jocks stood and went to his control panel. You know, the Galactic Union will be coming after us now. For you, they don't just forget something like this. Nova looked at the stars. Her expression changed, like she was remembering something from far away. Suddenly her hand moved. She touched the ship's glass window. Symbols appeared, glowing lines, shapes, ancient language made of light. Jocks turned, shocked. What is that? The symbols floated in the air for a second, then faded. You can control tech? With your mind? She didn't answer, but her eyes said yes. Jocks leaned back. No wonder they locked you up. They were scared of you. Nova looked down, her face sad again. She took a small chip from her wrist and handed it to him. What's this? She pointed at the chip, then at his data screen. Jocks placed the chip in. The screen showed a video. A city made of crystal towers, alien people like Nova flying through the air. Then came fire. Ships attacking, explosions, screaming, soldiers. With the Galactic Union mark capturing the last few of her kind. And then a cage. A glass cage, her alone. The video ended. Jocks sat still. They didn't just fear you. They destroyed your whole race. Nova nodded, one slow tear falling from her eye. A long silence filled the room. Finally, Jocks stood. I don't care what they say. You're not a weapon. You're a survivor. He looked out at the stars. But now we need to know something more. Why you? Why were you the only one they didn't kill? Nova walked up beside him. She opened. Her hand. And in her palm floated a tiny glowing orb. It pulsed with light, energy. Something not from this galaxy. Jx stared at it. What is that? Nova looked at him. And for the first time she spoke, a soft whisper. Just one word. Key? The Hunters arrived. Space was never quiet, not really. It only pretended to be, out there. Beyond the black sky, something always moved. Something always watched. And now someone had heard the whisper. Inside the small ship, Commander Jocks sat at the control panel. Nova stood beside him, her glowing orb still in her hand. The light had faded now, but Jocks couldn't stop thinking about her one word. Key. Key to what? He whispered. Nova didn't speak again. She sat on the floor, legs folded, hands resting in her lap. She looked calm, but Jocks saw her eyes. They were scanning, listening, waiting. Then the alarm rang. Beep, beep, beep. Unidentified ship approaching at high speed. Jocks turned to the screen. That's not a patrol, that's a hunter. Nova stood up quickly. On the screen, a sharp black ship came into view. It had no lights, no signal, no warning. Just a long, Thin body like a dagger made to cut through space. Or through ships. Jax cursed under his breath. They found us already? Nova walked toward the window. Her eyes narrowed. The ship outside stopped. Then without a word it opened fire. Jax jerked the controls. Hold on. A blue beam blasted across their side. The ship shook hard. Sparks flew. Nova grabbed the wall to keep from falling. Jax hit the shields. I can't outrun that thing. We have to hide. But Nova moved past him. She placed her hand on the screen. A map appeared, one Jax had never seen before. A strange symbol blinked. In one corner she pointed at it. A dead moon? Jax asked. That place hasn't had life in centuries. Nova nodded once. No choice, Jax said, pulling the ship toward the moon. Behind them, the hunter ship followed, silent, fast, deadly. The ship crash-landed near a frozen crater. Snow and ash covered everything. Jax opened the hatch. Cold air rushed in. He stepped out, his boots crunching on ice. Nova followed silently. Is this place safe? He asked. She looked up at the sky. No, she said softly. They're coming. Minutes later, the hunter landed, but it didn't open. It didn't need to, because something else had already arrived. From the shadows of the crater, dark figures appeared. Tall, armored, and quiet. Their helmets had red glowing eyes. They moved like shadows, but they were not machines. They were alive. Bounty hunters. Galactic Union's secret hands. The kind sent when silence was needed. When no one should survive. One of them raised a weapon and pointed it at Nova. Step away from the girl. A voice said, robotic, cold, final. Jax stood in front of her. She's not going anywhere. The figure stepped forward. She is not a girl. She is a threat class artifact. You are in violation of Union Order 99X. She's not an artifact. Jax growled. She's a person. No, she is the key. Behind them, Nova raised her hand. The snow under her feet began to glow. Blue energy spread like cracks in glass. Only this glass was the ground itself. The bounty hunters fired, but the bullets stopped. In the air. Frozen. Nova single quotes S eyes glowed. Bright? She stepped forward. The bullets dropped. Then she moved her hand, and the hunter's weapons melted. Jax stared. Nova. She turned her head slightly, her voice quiet. I don't want to fight. But the hunters did not care. One of them jumped. Nova raised her arm. A wave of energy shot out, blasting the hunter back into a rock wall. His armor cracked. He didn't get up. The others hesitated. Jax stepped beside her. We need answers. Fast. Nova nodded and walked toward the nearest hunter, still frozen by fear. She placed 2 fingers on his helmet. His body shook. Images flashed in his visor. Jax saw them too, cities burning, labs hidden deep underground. A giant door marked with the same glowing orb symbol. And one word written in ancient language. Vault. She let go. The hunter collapsed. She turned to Jax. They think I'm the key to the vault. But they don't know. Don't know what? She looked into the sky. I'm not the only one. The secret inside her in her dreams. The sky was always on fire. She stood on a high tower, watching her world burn, not in fear. Not in anger. In silence. Just like before. Just like always. Nova woke up with a quiet gasp. Her eyes opened, glowing faintly in the dark. She was in a small room, warm metal walls, quiet hum of engines. Jax's ship. She sat up on the bed, breathing. Slow. Outside, stars floated like cold diamonds, peaceful, but inside her. Chaos never stopped. In the control room, Jax was checking systems. The ship had been damaged badly during the escape from the dead moon. One engine was failing. No communication. Low fuel, but that wasn't what worried him. He looked at the monitor. A silent alert blinked. Unknown signal detected, tracking beacon active. We're being followed. He muttered. Nova stepped in behind him like a ghost. They won't stop. Jax didn't jump this time. He was used to her quiet now. You should be resting. I don't rest. Not really. He looked at her. You said, you're not the only one. She nodded slowly. Jax sat down across from her. What does that mean? Who are you, Nova? Not just a prisoner. Not just a weapon. There's something inside you, isn't there? Nova stayed silent. Then she reached into her arm, not cutting, just pressing, and something opened, a small panel. Beneath her skin slid aside, without pain or blood. Inside was light, not metal, not wires. Just a floating, glowing core, alive, JAX, single quotes, S mouth opened in shock. You're part machine? No, she said, something older. Something built. Before machines. Before your species had space travel. Who built you? She looked away. My people, long ago. We were called the Ellerin, we were born with light inside us. But it wasn't power, it was memory, we stored knowledge. We remembered everything, every war, every word. Juxa leaned forward. So, you're not just alive, you're a library. She nodded. I'm the last book they couldn't burn. The ship's lights flickered. Something was coming. Jox checked the scanner again. Another signal, bigger this time, military. Nova stood up. They found the signal inside me, a tracker buried deep. We need to remove it. You can't. If you try, it will. Destroy me. Jox stood. There has to be a way. Nova placed her hand on his chest. You saved me. You believed I was more than a weapon. Let me protect you now. Let me finish this. No, Jox said. We finish this together. The ship shook violently. A new ship appeared outside. It wasn't a hunter. It was bigger, darker. Its symbol glowed red. Galactic Union High Command. They didn't send soldiers this time, Jox whispered. They sent judgment. Nova turned to him. Then we show them truth. Outside, a voice echoed from the Union ship. You are carrying a stolen asset. Release the entity or be destroyed. Jox replied, voice calm. She's not an asset, she's a witness. A pause, then, you were warned. Weapons locked. Nova stepped forward, her hands glowing, but instead of fighting, she knelt down, and the light inside her spread across the ship. Holograms rose from her body images. Memories, voices, a city, her people, a council. A betrayal, one face repeated in every memory, an old man in a red uniform. The Union's highest general, the one who ordered her imprisonment, and next to him, a young soldier. Jox stared at the face. His eyes widened. That's my father. Nova turned to him. Now you know why they fear me. Earth will know. Earth had not seen a real alien in over 70 years, not one that walked, spoke, or remembered pain. It had seen wars, yes. Ships in the sky, wreckage on the moon. Speeches from behind glass, but never truth. Truth was always filtered, edited, deleted, until today. The ship broke through Earth's atmosphere like a falling star. Flames wrapped around it. Satellites tried to scan, but the ship jammed every signal. In the clouds above New Geneva, the new capital of Earth, 1,000 eyes looked up. And for the first time, a voice echoed across all frequencies. Calm, quiet, female. My name is Nova. I come not to invade, but to remember. Commander Jox sat beside her in the cockpit. His hands shook slightly. This wasn't just a landing, it was a challenge. To every government, every lie, every file marked classified. You sure about this? He asked it, Nova. Didn't look at him. They need to see. See what? She turned to him. What they buried. The ship landed on the green steps outside the United Planet Council Tower. No one stopped them, not because they were welcome, but because they were watched. Thousands of drones. Dozens of soldiers, hidden snipers. Scanners pointed at Nova's body, lighting up with warnings. Potential threat level, unreadable. Still, she walked forward barefoot, glowing, silent. And Earth held its breath. Inside the Grand Hall, leaders stood behind protective glass, world presidents, military commanders, media officials. Their faces were calm, but their eyes were afraid. JAX stood at the microphone first. My name is Commander Jox. I serve Earth. I swore to protect humanity. And I'm here to protect its future from its past. He stepped aside. Nova stepped forward. She didn't speak with her mouth. She raised her hands and let the room see. Holograms exploded in the air. Visions from her memory. The fall of the Ellerin, the Galactic Union's betrayal, the prison. The cage, the silence, but the final memory was the sharpest, a Union general, graying, stern, ordering. Her locked away, and next to him, a young human officer, Jox's father. The room fell completely silent. One reporter whispered, "This isn't possible," a military leader shouted. "This is fake tech." "Union propaganda," another yelled. "Shut this down before it spreads." But one woman, an old scientist from Earth's Data Council, stepped forward. She looked at Nova, then scanned the memory stream. Her face turned pale. "This is real," she said. "These memories are not fabricated. This technology is beyond us." Cameras broadcasted everything. Millions across Earth watched the truth unfold. Some were shocked, some were angry, and some began to believe. Jax looked at Nova. "You did it? You showed them?" But Nova's expression did not change. "This is only the beginning." He frowned. "Why?" "They saw the truth." She looked at the sky. "They are not the only ones watching." Jox turned to the window. High above Earth, 7 ships appeared. Black, sharp, silent. Not Union. Not human. Old. Hungry. Double quote. "They were waiting," Nova said softly. "Waiting for the cage to break." Jox whispered, "Who are they?" She replied, her voice colder now, "The ones who made the lock and feared what was inside." The Union strike sit began with silence. Not peace. Warning. The kind of silence that happens right before the sky breaks open. From every continent on Earth, people stared upward. The 7 alien ships hovered above the planet like silent judges. No sound, no message, no movement. Just watching. Nova stood at the edge of the Earth Council tower, her white hair moving with the wind. She looked up, her glowing eyes reflecting the shapes in the sky. "They're not here for war," she said softly. Commander Jox stood behind her. "Then what are they here for?" Her voice was colder now. "To collect." Inside the council chamber, panic had replaced order. Screens blinked with alerts. Unregistered ships detected. Hyper shields bypassed. No communication response. Military leaders shouted over one another. "She brought them here. This was a trap. We should hand her over now, before it's too late." Only one voice was calm. President Hale, Earth's highest elected leader, stared at the images of the ships, then at Nova. "Tell me what they want." Nova turned to him. "They want the vault, and they believe I am the only key." "And if we refuse to give you to them?" Nova didn't blink. "Then they will take me and burn everything in their path." Jock stepped forward. "She's not the enemy. She's the reason we even know the truth." One general snapped. "And what truth is worth the cost of human extinction?" Nova raised her hand. A soft pulse of light passed through the room. "Oh." The digital noise stopped. The lights dimmed. Her voice filled the space, gentle but uncheckable. "You think you can trade one life to save your world? But you don't understand who you're dealing with. The ones above don't care about peace. They want erasure, silence. They wiped out my people. I am the last. And if I fall, so will you." The sky cracked open. One of the ships powered up. Its lower half shifted. A deep hum shook the ground. Oceans rippled. Birds stopped mid-flight. Earth satellites blinked offline. A single message appeared across every screen. "Every device, every network on Earth, return the archive or be reset." Jox turned to Nova. "Archive?" "That's you," Nova nodded. "My mind holds what?" "They fear the truth of who they really are." Outside, warships from Earth scrambled into the sky. Old tech against something far older, one by one. Earth's defense satellites blinked out. A decision had to be made. President Hale stepped away from her guards and walked to Nova. Quietly, she asked, "If we protect you, can you stop them?" Nova's eyes glowed brighter. "No," she said, "but I can reveal them." Then she lifted her hands toward the sky. Above Earth, the alien ships shifted. Their smooth black bodies opened. Not with weapons, but with faces, glowing skulls, eyes like fire, creatures of memory and machine older than any star map. They were not just hunters. They were keepers of silence. They erased civilizations. They kept the galaxy blind. And Nova was their greatest mistake. Back in the chamber, alarms began again. The Union had arrived. 50 more ships. Galactic Union fleet jumped into orbit. They weren't here to protect Earth. They were here to capture Nova before the truth spread any further. Now Earth had two enemies. And one choice. JX looked at Nova. Tell me there's something we can do. Nova looked at him for a long time. Then she said, the one thing no one expected. There is something. She touched her chest where the light pulsed, but I won't survive it. She is not alone. Before the stars were named, the 4 planets had borders. There was a voice, and that voice said, remember us. But no one did. Until now. Nova stood alone on Earth's highest mountain peak, snow swirling around her, wind sharp like knives. The ships above still waited. The Union fleet had surrounded the planet. The sky was filled with steel, but Nova didn't look up anymore. She closed her eyes. She looked inward. Commander Jox watched from the command post far below, the air full of static. Soldiers waited for orders. Earth's leaders were silent. Everyone was waiting for a miracle. Or a death. Far above, inside the lead Union warship, a voice crackled on open frequency. Surrender the archive. This is your final chance. Nova opened her eyes. No, she whispered. She raised her hand and touched the sky across the galaxy. Something old awakened. In a dead nebula, a long-lost satellite blinked for the first time in 10,000 years. Beneath the ice of a forgotten moon, a crystal cracked open and a hand reached out. In distant systems, ancient minds stirred from sleep, and they all heard the same sound. Nova's memory. JAX gasped as his screen lit up. New signals detected. Multiple life forms, unknown origin. Ships began to appear, small, strange, beautiful. Not warship survivor ships. Each carried one like Nova. Some looked like light, some like shadow. Some had wings. Some had fire in their veins. The last of the Ellerin, the last of others, the silence tried to erase. They had heard her call. She was not alone. Union ships began to power weapons. The alien reapers in the black ships began to move. Earth soldiers held their breath. But before the first shot could fire, Nova rose from the mountain. Not walking. Floating. The air cracked around her. Her skin glowed with blue fire. Her voice echoed not from her mouth, but from every screen, every sky. We are the memory you tried to bury. We are the names you deleted. We are what you feared. And we are not afraid anymore. The Reaper ships opened fire. So did the Union. The sky turned red. And Nova released the core inside her. A pulse of light exploded, not to destroy but to reveal. Time froze for a moment. The galaxy remembered everything, every lost planet, every stolen truth. Every caged voice. The Reapers screamed, the Union ships stopped, and the people of Earth really saw what had been hidden from them for centuries. When the light faded, the Reaper ships were gone. Erased. Not by Nova, but by their own fear of being seen. The Union fleet stood down. Some retreated. Others opened their doors. And surrendered. Nova fell from the sky like a falling star. Jox ran to her, held her in his arms. She was glowing, but fading. You did it, he said, tears in his eyes. You weren't the weapon. You were the signal. Nova smiled. Not a key, she whispered. A light, and then she closed her eyes, but her light did not go out. It passed into the sky, into the stars, into the hearts of those who now remembered. Epilogue: 1 year later, a monument stands in New Geneva. At the base, it reads, "She was not human, but she made us more human than we had ever been." The stars are no longer silent because she taught them to speak again.